Major market status. As of June 27, 2026, global financial markets are reacting to a significant structural reset. Wall Street just concluded a highly volatile week, marked by persistent AI valuation fatigue and a hotter-than-expected May PCE inflation report, showing price pressures climbing above 4%. Concurrently, the digital asset landscape experienced a historic $10.50 plus billion options expiry that temporarily drove Bitcoin under $59,000, before a weekend short-term technical recovery steadied the largest token around the $60,000 baseline. Macroeconomics, central banks, and policy. PCE shockwaves. May personal consumption expenditures inflation gauge climbs above 4%, reigniting structural interest rate hike fears on Wall Street. Hawkish reversal. New Reuters poll reveals prominent economists now expect zero Federal Reserve rate cuts until 2028. Resilient consumer, U.S. personal income and personal spending both advanced 0.7% for May, signaling heavy economic absorption of energy spikes. Savings plateau. The U.S. personal savings rate holds firmly at 3% as persistent core inflation curbs extra safety net expansion. Jobless claims drop. Initial weekly claims fall by 12,000 to a seasonally adjusted 215,000, confirming tight labor market conditions. Moving average creep. The 4-week moving average for jobless claims ticks up slightly to 224,250, showing subtle structural cooling. Factory floor pullback. U.S. durable goods orders for May slide 4.5% following a heavily revised 8.5% explosion in April. GDP upward revision. Final official reading for Q1 2026 U.S. gross domestic product gets bumped up significantly to 2.1% from 1.6%. Treasury yield relief. The 2-year U.S. Treasury yield dips 2 basis points to 4.13% as worst-case inflation panic eases slightly. Dollar softens. The U.S. dollar index, DXY, registers a minor 0.1% decline to 101.30, remaining near its lowest multi-year trading channel. Liquidity tightening. Global liquidity strategist Michael Howell warns that flattening yield curves signal structural tightening across advanced economies. 401k crypto fight. A prominent U.S. House Democrat running for a key committee leadership post formally condemns crypto inclusion in retirement accounts. Clarity Act backlash. Anti-human trafficking organizations warn that Section 604 of the impending Clarity Act could heavily weaken corporate accountability. MiCA enforcement hits. Binance formally tells European Union users it will cease specific regional operations after failing to secure essential regulatory licensing. Global trade calm. Market fears over the broader Israel-Iran conflict ease as regional ceasefires hold, stabilizing immediate shipping lines. Moving on. Stock market indices and broad trends. AI fatigue prevails. Major Wall Street benchmarks end mixed as immense gains in financials fail to offset sharp large-cap technology drawdowns. S&P 500, flatline. The benchmark S&P 500 index closes virtually unchanged at 7,357.49, snapping a brutal 4-day continuous losing streak. Dow's fragile gain. The Dow Jones Industrial Average inches up a mere 0.1%, plus 71.72 points, to wrap a jittery trading week at 51,920.62. Nasdaq underwater. Tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite falls 0.5% to 25,358.6 as valuation rollbacks drag on mega-cap growth tech. Outflow alarm bells. Wall Street records its very first net weekly equity fund outflow since March 2026, breaking a prolonged bull run. Mid-year target hikes. JP Morgan raises its base case 2026 S&P 500 target to 7,800, citing blue sky earnings recovery potentials. Barclays joins bulls. Barclays strategists adjust their year-end S&P 500 projections to 7,800, betting on a 24% full-year corporate profit expansion. Earnings warning given. JP Morgan's Global Markets Division warns that extreme upward revisions have crowded positioning into too few AI names. Fear gauge rise. The CBOE Volatility Index (VIX) advances 1.4% to close at 18.89, highlighting rising programmatic hedging. Volume evaporation. Total U.S. trading volume slides to 20.34 billion shares, well below the trailing 20-session average of 23.04 billion. Sector rotations, S&P Consumer Discretionary -1.8%, and Consumer Staples -1.1%, leading the underperforming sectors on Wall Street. Industrials in demand. The Industrial Select Sector (SPDR-XLI) breaks away from the negative sentiment with a robust 2.2% daily advance. Holiday lull ahead. Trading desks brace for wilder price swings next week due to thinned volumes surrounding the 4th of July weekend. Nigerian stock slump. Across global emerging equities, investors lose N$983 billion in a sweeping Nigerian stock market sell-off. Treasury bill yield spike. Nigerian Treasury bills yield jumps 27 basis points amid intense secondary market selling pressure. There is so much more to cover, so let's go. Technology, semiconductors, and AI equity. Nvidia market cap shift. Nvidia's total market valuation slips cleanly below the historic $5 trillion mark following a widespread tech rotation. Apple's hardware hike. Apple stock tumbles 6.2% after announcing global price increases for MacBooks and iPads to offset component costs. Microsoft follows suit. Microsoft drops 3.5% as investors punish the software giant for pushing price increases onto Xbox hardware and services. Apple dip buyers step in. Late-session institutional block orders spark an Apple recovery as analysts flag long-term consumer valuation floors. Micron's spectacular beat. Micron Technology stock rockets 15.7% following blowout Q3 fiscal 2026 revenues, briefly lifting the chip sector. Semiconductor index surges. The Philadelphia SE Semiconductor Index, SOX, books a strong 3.2% gain, insulated by enterprise memory hardware demand. Memory overconcentration. Analysts warn that Micron's massive earnings beat can no longer single-handedly carry the broader tech sector. SpaceX index inclusion. SpaceX stock climbs sharply on private secondary markets following news of its upcoming inclusion in the Russell 1000 index. The AI top debate. Financial columnists argue whether the highly anticipated SpaceX private valuation mark represents the absolute peak of the AI bull market. AI disruption fears. Tech-adjacent data processors Experian and RELX experience severe downward pressure as enterprise AI integrations accelerate. Commodities, energy, and global markets. Gold vaults higher. Gold futures jump roughly 1% to end the week at a commanding $4,080 a troy ounce, bucking the dollar's strength. Gold peak context. Analysts note that despite recent gains, gold remains down 28% from its historic intra-year pinnacle of $5,594.82. Crude rebound. West Texas Intermediate WTI. Crude futures rise 2.6% on Friday to settle at $69.23 per barrel on localized supply friction. Brent crude stability. International benchmark Brent crude edges back to $71.99, showing a steep 11% decline over the trailing 7 days. Strait of Hormuz flow. Global energy shipping analysts report that the Strait of Hormuz route remains heavily active, calming systemic oil spike fears. South Korean KOSP surges. South Korea's benchmark KOSPI leads global gains with an early 5% surge, forcing regional exchange circuit breakers. KOSP monthly view. Despite the daily technical relief bounce, South Korea's KOSP index remains highly volatile after an alternate 8% flash crash. SK Hynix explodes. Shares of major South Korean hardware provider SK Hynix surge more than 10%, riding the global memory chip coattails. Samsung joins rally. Consumer electronics tighten. Samsung gains 5% in Seoul trading rooms as foreign capital inflows return. Japanese equities gain. Japan's Nikkei 225 index finishes the session up 1.28%, while the broader Topix index secures a 0.76% advance. Australian markets lag. Australia's benchmark S&P ASX 200 index closes marginally lower, weighed down by localized mining asset revisions. European first-half review. Broad mid-year reviews show the FTSE 100 up 7%, France's CAC 40 up 5%, and Germany's DAX gaining 2% year-to-date. Asian divergence. Mid-year data shows South Korea's KOSPI doubling in value over the half, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng has shed 6%. UK M&A boom. Takeover bids for 6 prominent FTSE 100 companies, including Glencore and Schroders, shore up British blue-chip valuations. Defense sector cools. Global defense stocks like BAE Systems, Rheinmetall, and Palantir suffer heavy profit-taking as military budget expansions look fully priced. Bitcoin and Strategy, STRC, updates. The $60,000 battleground, Bitcoin (BTC), fights to consolidate above $60,360 on Saturday morning after hitting deep multi-month lows below $59,000. Options reset lands. The expiration of a record-setting $10.50 plus billion Bitcoin options envelope triggers massive negative gamma trading before clearing the deck. The put wall disappears. Crypto desk analysts warn that the massive $60,000 derivatives put wall has expired, leaving spot markets fully exposed. Downside target flagged. Without institutional spot inflows, analysts point to an open technical liquidity pocket down between $54,000 and $56,000. The $13 billion paper loss. Corporate treasury holder strategy faces over $13 billion in unrealized paper losses on its massive 844,000 BTC reserve stack. Strategy premium evaporates. Strategy's corporate enterprise MNAV market net asset value dips officially below 1, wiping out its historic premium. Preferred stock collapse. Strategy's STRC preferred stock trades at a deep 25% discount below par, dropping to an all-time record low of $73. Garlinghouse takes aim. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse publicly bashes Michael Saylor's capital structure, calling the preferred stock model flawed financial engineering. Garlinghouse stays bullish. Despite his stinging critique of Strategy, Ripple's chief executive emphasizes he remains highly structural bullish on core Bitcoin. Capital structure judgment. Fixed income analysts mark June 30th as a critical D-Day for Strategy as upcoming corporate events define its runway. Call for Treasury slowdown. Wall Street analysts pressure Strategy to completely halt leveraged Bitcoin accumulation to rebuild core fiat cash reserves. Historical scale comparison. Strategy's $13 billion paper loss now officially eclipses the total individual market caps of Cardano, Chainlink, and Litecoin combined. Long-term model defense. Fixed income defenders argue Strategy's debt issuance model remains fundamentally intact until macro liquidations force asset sales. On-chain bottom signal. Quantitative analysts note a rare four-signal macro on-chain alignment has flashed for only the sixth time ever, suggesting a local bottom. Extreme fear dominates. The Bitcoin Crypto Fear and Greed Index drops to a staggering score of 13, marking a prolonged period of market capitulation. So what is going on with Ethereum and major altcoins? Let's have a look-see. Ethereum Foundation layoffs. The Ethereum Foundation confirms a sweeping internal restructure, cutting 20% of its total global staff footprint. Funding gap warning. Former Ethereum Foundation leaders warn that shifting decentralized governance structures could lead to structural developer funding gaps. Ether price consolidation. ETH, stages a mild Saturday bounce of 1.5% to trade at $1,580.66, recovering from a steep 5.4% weekday plunge. Tether flips Ether. In a historic structural anomaly during peak weekday liquidation volatility, Tether's trading volume briefly flipped Ether. Solana outperforms. Solana, SOL, leads the weekend altcoin relief charge, bouncing 5.63% to find local footing around the $68.88 mark. Stock derivatives climb. Publicly traded Solana Digital Asset Trust, DAT, stocks climb double digits, tracking the underlying token's recovery. XRP price surge. Ripple's native token XRP advances 2.43% to $1.05, drawing intense attention following major institutional partnership rollouts. X-Money infrastructure launches. X-Money goes live utilizing Ripple's primary banking partner Cross River Bank to handle high-throughput settlement. XRP whale movements. Large-scale on-chain analytics show prominent XRP whale wallets rotating capital directly into high-growth token presales. BNB steadying. Binance Coin (BNB) tracks small gains in thin weekend liquidity, inching up 0.67% to settle back at $564.35. Cardano relief inflow. Cardano (ADA) tracks a strong 4.15% weekend recovery as oversold derivatives positions trigger automatic short covering. Tron yearly breakdown. Tron (TRX) stabilizes at 32 cents, with network analysts highlighting its current 2026 yearly peak stands, capped at 38 cents. Dogecoin leads weekly losses. Despite a minor 1.43% Saturday crawl, Dogecoin wraps the week as one of the largest market cap decliners. Hyperliquid HYPE capitulation. High-flying decentralized derivative token HYPE faces mass liquidations, pacing the weekly altcoin market drawdowns. Aave defies market trend. DeFi lending protocol token AAVE breaks out of the crypto dump, jumping 8.9% to lead the CoinDesk 20 index higher. Crypto infrastructure, DeFi, and Web3. Base network suffers outage. Coinbase's Layer 2 network Base suffers its second major mainnet consensus stall inside of 48 hours. Base resumes blocks. Base core engineers successfully push a hotfix patch, restarting block production after a stressful 2-hour network freeze. Securitize public valuation. Leading real-world asset tokenization firm Securitize prepares to raise $400 million as it closes in on a public stock debut. Bitbank acquisition complete. Japanese financial services behemoth SBI Holdings finalizes the complete acquisition of crypto exchange Bitbank for $289 million. Kraken files lawsuit. Crypto exchange Titan. Kraken files a formal lawsuit against crypto derivatives firm PowerTrade over alleged misappropriation of funds. AI agents as economic actors. Virtual spokesperson Jansen Tang states that autonomous AI agents are rapidly evolving into completely independent Web3 economic actors. Cardone's Bitcoin plan. High-profile real estate investor Grant Cardone publicly announces he will continuously buy spot Bitcoin using commercial real estate cash flows. Cross-chain interoperability proves real. Institutional report confirms 2026 has marked the formal death of siloed chains, with assets moving freely between private ledgers and DeFi. Pepetto presale record. High-profile meme token project Pepetto crosses the $10.3 million funding mark as it nears its official Binance spot listing. Moving on swiftly. Polymarket, World Cup, and microcaps. Polymarket betting surge. Predictive marketplace Polymarket witnesses a wild swing in its June 27th Bitcoin over $60,000 market, with odds skyrocketing to 84.4%. World Cup Crypto Synergy 2026. Crypto.com launches legal event prediction contracts across the U.S. for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, driving massive platform deposits. Fan token volatility. Socios.com reports a major spike in Portugal national football fan token activity ahead of the high-stakes Colombia match. Colombia token gap. Market analysts note Colombia's lack of an official national fan token highlights a stark developmental disparity in emerging sports Web3 markets. Humanity token unlock. The Humanity project initiates a massive scheduled token supply unlock on June 27, sparking heavy short hedging on liquid markets. Here is headline 100. Binance microcaps explode, defying the broader quiet Saturday market volume. Low-cap tokens Adventure Gold, AGLD, and PIVX explode by 54% and 47% respectively. Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and is not professional financial advice in any shape or form. Always do your own research. Like and subscribe for more content like this. And finally, a little added extra. Procedural Stockwatch disclosures. Jura Energy, JEC, formally announces the commencement of strategic exploratory drilling within its Maru lease block. Rogers Sugar, RSI, finalizes and signs an official long-term extension of its collective labor agreement at the Tabor refinery. If you made it this far, consider subscribing for more detailed breakdown. Telo Genomics, TELO, confirms the immediate termination of its legacy corporate investor relations agreement. Interai, URAI, unveils an advanced proprietary drone and defense home intelligence technology platform. Hamilton Enhanced Bitcoin ETF, BDY, formally declares an 18.5-cent cash distribution to holders of record. Information Services Corp. ISC successfully secures majority shareholder approval for the impending plenary corporate deal.